All right, Demetrius is up first. So this was a really smart question, and I think it's going to surprise you guys a little bit by the answer. He says, what are your thoughts on using Google Docs as sales pages? Do you use them because they're easy to spin up, or is there a psychological reason because their guard is lowered because it's just a Google Doc, or both? Frankie, thoughts? We got, our man Basil says, when working to set up a back-end revenue share deal with a business's old leads, how do you overcome the objections of no thank you, we don't want to share our list of old leads and past customers, we value their privacy, and you're probably just a competitor in disguise? That sounds pretty serious, my dude. Blake says, hey guys, I'm new to the agency game. The last decade has taken me down one path, but looking to steer down this direction. Been thinking about it forever and not really taking any action. Beyond the agency box was probably exactly what I needed right now. Starting with the end in mind, it has been an eye-opener. Time to start applying and picking my niche. I've been Jerry Generalist for so long, aiming to flip the script and start to be a Steven specialist. Background: international marketing manager for global New York Stock Exchange listed industrial powerhouse, international product manager, medtech mammoth educating, sales and marketing director for family-owned Australian business coach. At the moment, really struggling to define my niche. Thinking out loud about the following ideas, but not sure where to start. Commercial leads for electricians in local area using mini monopoly. Commercial leads for industrial B2B service businesses using mini monopoly sites. Mommy makeover leads for cosmetic surgeons. Interested to hear from those who've been there and nailed it, as well as those that are pushing it into other areas with an offer. Welcome back, everybody. It's an exciting time to be alive for you guys who are building thriving work from home online businesses where you can serve clients and do it anywhere. I know it is not always easy, but you guys are what I consider to be the best of the best, making shit happen. So excited. Quick little announcement just before we get rocking and rolling with your questions. We just had another awesome soul inside of the Wolfpack cross the $1 million mark, which to me is super exciting. It's pretty life-changing stuff when you can generate $1 million a year, doing it smarter, faster, quicker, and as a result, just a lot of good things happen. Your life gets better in a lot of noticeably, measurable, consistent kind of ways. So for those of you guys that are interested in potentially doing that, I want to be real with you guys and tell you just, over, 20 years of doing this, I don't think I make anybody successful. I just think I help them do it better, faster, easier with more tools and resources and community and support and things like that. So if you guys are interested in that and that makes sense to you, you can check that out, beyondagencyprofits.com/Wolfpack. Anyways, cool. Let's get into the good stuff. I need a drink. I forget to take a drink before I scream out. By the way, it looks like I'm just pounding coffee by the gallon, but this is actually from Karen and JC Height, and this is just the biggest water bottle I own. So anyways, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. The daddy golden guns. I watched too much wrestling as a kid, just so you guys know. All right, Demetrius is up first. So this was a really smart question. I think it's going to surprise you guys a little bit by the answer. He says, what are your thoughts on using Google Docs as sales pages? Do you use them because they're easy to spin up? Or is there a psychological reason because their guard is lowered because it's just a Google Doc, or both? Frankie, thoughts? So I'll kind of illustrate the purpose of a Google Doc and why we make offers and sales pages inside of Google Docs. And there are a couple of reasons, but I want to give you first the biggest reason. So I see this a lot with people, and I used to be guilty of this back in the day. I found there's a hidden metric for if you want to make money in really any sort of business in the world, and it is called offers made. If you want to see how much money somebody's making in general, see how many offers they're making. If it's very few, it's probably, unless those are really high value offers, they're probably not going to be making a lot of money. And flip side of that is people who make a lot of offers and do them like in a giving way tend to make a lot of money repeatedly for the long term. So what that meant for me personally is back in the day, whenever I had an idea that I thought would be useful in my marketplace, it often took me like a really, really long time to put it out there. I would have to build a website around the idea. I'd have to build like a WordPress thing and install a theme, and I'd spend hours choosing which theme, and then I'd have to buy a domain, and I had like hundreds and hundreds of domains, and sometimes I didn't even finish the website before I had another idea, and it would sometimes like literally take me a month just to put an offer in the marketplace. And it's very hard to like earn a good living if it takes you a month to put out an offer. And then you may find out when you put out the offer, it doesn't work. In fact, Jay Abraham, who's the best I know at selling like literally billions worth of marketing kind of stuff, has told me still to this day, 50% of the offers he makes doesn't work. So I needed a way to be more agile with if I had an idea that I thought could benefit a marketplace and put it out there. And we actually have something that even precedes the Google Doc, which I call a hand raiser, which is a 1 to 3 sentence summary of the offer. And so what that means for me now is I can have an idea and I can publish it in a marketplace in real time in like 30 seconds and get real feedback. Yes, that would help me. No, it wouldn't. I would buy that. No, I wouldn't. Tell me more about it. Crickets. Nobody interested. I find that out really, really quickly. And then therefore, the most common reaction, by the way, to like a summary of an offer is, I'm curious, tell me more about it. And so we put the details in a Google Doc. And its main purpose in doing so is yes, it kind of like it's quick and it disarms people. The second main reason that we do it, besides that it allows us to be like put offers in the marketplace really, really fast, is that like we keep the main thing, right? So like when I would have to build a website, I'd spend hours. Which theme do I use? Well, they're not going to buy based on your theme and your fucking logo and your colors. They're going to be based on, is it a meaningful offer that helps me in my business? Like people are, if you understand they're doing it for selfish reasons, then you want to make an offer that appeals to those selfish reasons. And so the other thing is it focused us to keep the main thing, which is the offer, the main thing. And so in doing so, we can put a lot of offers out there and we can test them really, really quickly. And then when people are interested, we can just summarize the details and keep the main thing, which is the offer, the main thing. And people end up closing just from that. So yeah, we sell a whole bunch of stuff with Google Docs, but it's not actually purely for sales reasons, as people think. It's actually more like a speed to putting your ideas out in a marketplace where people have the capacity to say, no, not interested, or yes, I would buy that and here's my money, or tell me more about it. Oh, by the way, I just refreshed the feed. I see Maxim, I see Karen. By the way, Karen, I got something really cool planned for you, by the way, sort of evil Frankie thing. Mohammed says, doesn't sub-niche in an e-commerce will limit my target audience if my solution is paid ads, as I may have 2 competitors. Usually I find with niches, by the way, most people go the wrong direction, which is too broad, thinking like, I want this to appeal to as many people as possible. And usually you want it to be like super niche, like I only work with the top 1% TV lawyers who spend at least $100,000 a month in their marketplace. I'm gonna probably do some videos on that in the near future. So if you have additional questions, we can ask them. I see Annette's here. Was geht ab? So anyways, that was my German, just so you guys are wondering. Okay, so I forget this. Oh, Nikki Two Angels asked this question. So he says, looking for helpful input, a local chiropractor who is sending 900 newsletters a quarter that is about 4 pages long and needlessly wordy has his offer at the back of the newsletter for a free consultation. He's hired a company to make and distribute the newsletter. He only wanted this for sending out a holiday card, but this year they're using new material and fisting him another 500 to make them. So he did not only get the thing he wanted, is now stuck with this shit newsletter that 99.9% of people look at and throw away, I would only assume. I don't want to compete with the company he already hired. I want to offer him print advertising that has a short and clear message that offers value to his patients. Where could I start? What would your recommendations for the offer be? So Nick, my dude, that's exciting, by the way, when you're having real conversations with people and working on like creative ideas that you guys are building together. So a couple of things on that. Firstly, believe it or not, I've worked extensively with companies that use a lot of newsletters, and they may seem boring and they may seem plain Jane, but people do actually read them and they do actually create conversions, especially with enough repetition. In fact, one of my mentors said he would put stuff in the newsletter just to see if it was working. So like, for example, he would write a story about his daughter getting married, and somebody would come into the office and say, I heard about your daughter getting married. And so he knew for certain they could only have read that in the newsletter because he didn't put it anywhere else on purpose. So things like that. So don't poo-poo newsletters just because they're doing them and you don't necessarily like see how that would work. It's usually more about who they're sending them to, the fact that they're people they have a relationship with. Like, for example, if I sent you a letter, even if it wasn't the most perfect letter, you and I know each other. Like, we've done cool shit together, right? So for that reason, if I sent you a message, chances are you're probably going to read it just because it's from somebody you know. So anyways, that's a whole other aside. I just want to let you guys know, like, internet marketers think only internet things work, but offline stuff in the real world does work too. So now let's talk about the part for you, which is the part that matters to me. How do you use the fact that you've got a client who's already doing something with this company, and as you mentioned, I don't want to directly compete with their solution. And I will tell you the easiest way I have found to do that personally is to take something they have and they like that is working and simply to bring it to new media. So for example, I'll give you a person doing this cold. Harris, for example, he helps online coaches who are crushing it with Facebook ad funnels. And he goes to them and says, I can take your working Facebook ad funnel and I can turn it into a YouTube funnel. And you'll get a whole new set of clients and customers and whatever from your YouTube funnel. Are you interested in that? And so people pay him to take what's working and bringing it to a new place. So in your case, if they're already sending direct mail, what I certainly wouldn't try and do is to try and convince them to stop doing that. What I would do is figure out how I could either A, add on to it, or B, create a new media. So it might be like, hey, if you put this little brochure in the middle of it, or you put this little offer coupon in the middle, we could probably get people to come in right away. Or I might take that thing going, hey, it's working really well in direct mail. I want to do something for you with email, or I want to do something with text message, right? So you can take their working stuff and bring it other places. So I say that to you because a lot of times, if you want to not compete with people, just figure out how to take their shit that's already working and apply it somewhere else, and you'll be amazed that they'll go, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. I'll tell you, part of the biggest reason most people don't is most internet marketers are myopic about maybe 5 tools. They think the answer to everything has to be a website, a Facebook ad, SEO, some kind of funnel and things like that. And those are awesome tools, but like offline stuff does work too. You can take their existing working stuff. And then as far as creating an offer, I'll tell you the easiest starting place is to sell the thing people are already buying. So I would ask the question to the chiropractor, what is the thing people ask you the most about? Oh, I got 100 patients with back pain. Back pain special, right? Like, hit them up with the thing that whatever they're already buying is. I know it sounds simple, but you'd be amazed. Almost always we go, how can I sell them something else instead of going, how can I sell what they're already buying? And I'll promise you'll do a lot better if you sell what they're already buying. So that's a long-winded rant saying if I was in your shoes, I'd probably take the thing to email. I'd probably insert a back pain offer or whatever their thing is. And lo and behold, you send an email and have a back pain special. People come in the door and go, I'm here for the back pain special. And the doctor goes, holy shit, I can't believe that worked. Meanwhile, it was their own audience and they just weren't doing anything with it. All right. We got our man Basil says, when working to set up a back-end revenue share deal with a business's old leads, how do you overcome the objections of no thank you, we don't want to share our list of old leads and past customers, we value their privacy, and you're probably just a competitor in disguise? That sounds pretty serious, my dude. So let me just grab something that I think may be useful for that. Here we go. I was looking for a book on the shelf. So this is probably my favorite book on the internals of business. It's called Straight Line Leadership by Dusan Dukovic. I don't believe there's like an audio book or an ebook. I think you got to like buy a real old-fashioned book. Anyway, one of the things he talks about there is if you want to succeed in something, your internal stance is just as important as what you actually do. And the reason I say this is because you see this like every January, all these people make these weight loss goals, and then by like January 14th, they've already given up, right? You see, like a lot of people like gyms, they get real busy in January and then they cool off, February, March, everybody's back to like the normal. So it's not the gym or the weight loss or the external thing that makes them successful. It's like there's kind of level of commitment in the case of weight loss. So I say this to you because I think one of the most useful internal stances with revenue share deals is I'm the fucking chooser here. I'm going to do all the work. I'm going to do all the setup. I'm going to make you money, and I'm only asking for money after you get paid. Like, I make the rules. I do the choosing. I say what goes. And not in an asshole way, by the way. One of my mentors, Ken, called this the benevolent dictator. And so to me, if somebody like started giving me a hard time about like giving access to their list, that to me is a giant red flag that is not a good candidate to work with for a revenue share deal anyway. I'll tell you why. And by the way, usually it's a lot of smaller companies that are like the most protected over their stuff. I'll give you an example of this because I've done some revenue share deals. I went to a friend of mine, really awesome dude, but he's a small like one-person company, and I knew he had a big mailing list, and he was struggling to make his paid ads work. And I was like, I bet you if we sell him a second thing that also benefits them, your math on the front end will start working because the second sale you make, you don't have the advertising cost in there. And so I proposed the idea of a revenue share deal to this person, and they were all like, well, it's my list is my baby. I need to see what messages you're going to send. We need to have a meeting about it. We need to talk about it. And already it started to sound undesirable to me personally. I'll give you a contrast to another person I've done a revenue share deal with. This person has like a team of 10 people, and all of them have access login. And so when we started the deal, he said, sure enough, like talk to Tyler, my right-hand person. He'll get you set up. Here's Tyler sends the login. Here you go. These are your dates. Let us know if you need anything from us. That is my most desirable kind of revenue share deal. And I'll tell you, revenue share deals don't work really well with the people in the middle of your niche. And they also don't work well with the bottom, but most people in the middle are kind of opposed to revenue share deals in general, in my experience. The bottom ones are all for it because they're broke and they want to put all the risk on you. And these make for bad revenue share partners because they have way more holes in their business than the one thing you're going to come in and fix. In the middle, they're actually like, that's where you're kind of bumping up against it, is the people who are like, I never do that. I never give you my list. And you actually just have to think bigger and aim higher. And what you'll find is the biggest giveaway for me is they already have a team that has access to the very thing you're trying to get access to. So for them, it's the most normal thing in the world to share their logins. And this is why I mentioned the internal thing, because with revenue share deals, like you're the fucking prom queen and you have to know it. And if you don't, it's a bad model because you're either going to choose bad partners or you're going to do a lot of work for free that you're not going to get paid, which is, to me, a function of choosing bad partners. So that's my way of saying, like, I wouldn't work with that fucking client. Oh, who are you? Why do you want my list? Like when they're all scarcity minded about it, enjoy your scarcity. Right? You go keep the little small, like it helps to think about it like, would you rather own 50% of a watermelon or 100% of a grape? That person is like, they'd rather own 100% of a grape. And that's like, it's okay. It's your business, your thing. You can be a control freak. But I'd rather work with somebody who's like, let's just make a bigger watermelon for both of us. You can have half, I can have half. And it's bigger for everybody, right? So you have to be in that abundance stance. I'm the chooser. I know who this is for. I love revenue share deals, but I'll tell you, like a lot of times beginners try them and don't understand like the 27 pitfalls that can lead you to do a bunch of work you don't get paid for. Anyways, I hope that's helpful to you. But like to me, I would look for the question I would be asking to determine how good of a fit they are is like, what do you guys use as a CRM and how do you typically manage that? And if they don't have a good answer to that question, they're probably not going to be a good revenue share fit. Anyways, next question we got. This is Blake. Blake says, hey guys, I'm new to the agency game. The last decade has taken me down one path, but looking to steer down this direction. Been thinking about it forever and not really taking any action. Beyond the agency box was probably exactly what I needed right now. Starting with the end in mind, it has been an eye-opener. Time to start applying and picking my niche. I've been Jerry Generalist for so long, aiming to flip the script and start to be a Steven specialist. Background. International marketing manager for global New York Stock Exchange listed industrial powerhouse, international product manager, medtech mammoth educating, sales and marketing director for family-owned Australian business coach. At the moment, really struggling to define my niche. Thinking out loud about the following ideas, but not sure where to start. Commercial leads for electricians in local area using mini monopoly. commercial leads for industrial B2B service businesses using mini monopoly sites, mommy makeover leads for cosmetic surgeons. Interested to hear from those who've been there and nailed it, as well as those that are pushing it into other areas with an offer. So I kind of get this question a lot, just, Blake, in a lot of variations. And I think most people think they don't understand the real reason to pick a niche, whatever you want to call it. And so they make it a big, heavy, I need forever to think about it kind of decision. And it's not a big, heavy, I need to think about it forever kind of decision. It's more like a go with the best answer you got in the next 24, 48, 72 hours max. Like take a day, 2 days, and think about it. And I'll tell you why. Every single fucking niche has money in it. People are scared if I pick the wrong niche, I'm going to be broke forever. And this is the truth. Every niche has a spectrum. There are broke people in every niche. There are people doing okay in the middle in every niche. There's people crushing it, right? Every niche is a spectrum. But there wouldn't be a niche if there wasn't like money in it. So this is the thing I think stops people so much. Like if I pick the wrong one, I'm fucked forever. You pick it for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, so that your message says something fucking meaningful. And the only way to do that, in my experience, or I should say the best way to do that, it's not the only way, but the best way to do that is to say something specific, right? Most people are just saying, I can get you more leads. I'll get you more leads and more customers and more sales. That's a huge difference when I say, hey, I can get you signed motorcycle cases, the high like $80,000 cases for $500 a pop using Facebook ads. Right? The specifics are what make that better. So reason number 1 to pick a niche is just so your messaging is focused. So it actually says something to someone. And then the second reason is it creates a lot easier scale on the fulfillment side because you're doing the same thing again and again and again, and it becomes more like a conveyor belt. The same way that like McDonald's, the first client, when they order a burger, it's real tricky making their burger system. But the second time, and the third time, the fourth time, and the fifth time, and the sixth time, and the seventh time they sell a burger, that's dog shit easy. They were pretty much done the burger before the person showed up. And what most people do as a generalist is they have to constantly reinvent the wheel with every fucking client. And I do know people being successful with that. You can do it. But like, I just personally think that's 1,000 times harder than it needs to be, which especially for most of you guys, you just want a fucking lifestyle business where you make good money, you get to hang with the people you do, you have freedom and autonomy, and you can do the shit you want to do, right? So the point of it is to create repeatability or deliverability for 2 reasons you want to do that. 1 is it's easier for you, and 2, it's better for the client because they get a more consistent, repeatable outcome. So that's my way of saying, like, just pick somebody. It don't fucking matter who. What matters is that you pick somebody. And what most people do, because they're trying to figure out where could I make a buck instead of who could I help, they're focused on, like, the money instead of the person. And I think it's a better starting place to think about, who do I want to do this shit for? Because the reality is, you could be successful in all of them. Like, it doesn't make a fucking difference. So this is to all of you guys who are taking forever to pick a fucking niche. It doesn't fucking matter. Just go, hey, I would enjoy helping these people, so do it. Anyways, enough of that rant, but that's my way of saying all of those are valid choices. What I would look for is, like, where's a problem I could solve? Which one of these people would I most enjoy working with? Who would be the easiest to help amongst all of these people? And since you've done this as a generalist, the best place to look is in the rear view mirror and go, who is easy to help in the past? Who paid well and was low maintenance? Who, like, that, your niche is in there already. Just now, instead of doing it 1 time for a person like that, do it 100 times for people who are in the exact same circumstances. By the way, I should mention Facebook does this thing where I get a bunch of comments and then the comments stop working. So if you guys are saying shit, I don't see it until the end. So you guys are asking, man, big, like, life direction-y kind of questions this week. So Pavel says, I'm a bit lost. In which direction should I move my business next? Let me give you more context. Previously, I was a tech co-founder behind payment processing for high-risk merchants. Got a full license from the regular, similar API like Stripe, all legit. Our major acquiring bank at the time went under. Also, I founded a printing agency, flyers, roll-ups, billboards. Our agency receives an order. We add up 20 to 30% markup and let our supplier print it. Due to high volumes, the agency has much lower buying prices. Sold my stake when COVID hit. A few years ago, I started providing web design services and writing solo with any biz partners. My goal was to learn how to prospect and sell in a saturated market, such as web design, to sharpen my sales and marketing skills. Now I grew tired of selling on a project-based basis. Every time I finish a web design project, I'm back at square one. No recurring revenue is coming in. My niche at the moment is B2B industrial logistic companies where they sell supply chain servers, raw materials, semi-finished products, and expensive industrial equipment. I was considering the following. SEO, in my view, is perceived as low value because it's easy to let GPTs create SEO articles in no time. It's harder to sell the value to a prospect. Meta and TikTok ads don't work well in my B2B niche. Google and LinkedIn ads could be good options moving forward, but I'm still learning Google and LinkedIn ads, so I'm not confident I can guarantee deliverables and results. I want to ask more experienced folks here what services can be sold for $1,000 to $2,000 per month and what deliverable should be in my case. I'm going to tell you, Pavel, part of the reason I believe we get stuck is because we're just asking ourselves the wrong question. And I think in your case, for what it sounds like you want to accomplish, you're asking a lot of the wrong questions, which are leading you into poor outcomes. And many of you guys are doing the same, just so you guys know. So I hope this is helpful to you guys in the sense, okay? So when most of you guys are trying to figure out, especially those of you guys who are in the beginner stages, like 0 to 5K, 10K a month, like those kind of stages, and getting that consistently as well. Like, as Pavel's case, he sells websites and probably has, months above that. But when he stops selling websites, the recurring goes to 0. So getting, we're talking about getting there kind of sustainably. So I'm going to say this in the simplest way possible, which is you are thinking about the wrong person. Okay, so that whole thing, by the way, your entire post to me in many ways read like a resume. Like that's a middle class thinking. Like you're trying to, I'm qualified to do this. I know how to do that. These are all things. And most of us have many, many skills. It ain't about you at all. In fact, and once you understand that you're in the game of entrepreneurship, you don't work for anybody else. Like if you can make somebody $10 million selling an industrial piece of equipment, like that to me is easily worth $1 million, even if it only takes you 10 minutes, send in a fucking email. So, how can I find a service in the 1 to 5K a month? How can you bring them a $30,000 outcome? And you probably only have to bring them one. Industrial equipment, that's a beautiful thing, right? Like if you bring them one measly little sale, they're probably that alone is worth it to them. So you actually kind of gave the answer in there of the question I have is what do those people want? And by the way, most of you guys are starting backwards. You're thinking about you and your deliverable. What could I sell? And who would pay me for what? No. Who are you trying to sell to and what are their problems? Start there. So just going to pull it up because I'm looking for, you said it somewhere. You said, where they sell supply chain services, raw materials, semi-finished products, and expensive industrial equipment. 4 things. So what can you do to bring them a result to sell a supply chain service, a raw material, a semi-finished product, an expensive industrial equipment? And by the way, if it was up to me, just that phrase, expensive industrial equipment, sounds like, man, if I just bring them one sale a year, I could probably charge $100,000 a year for that easily and find 10 of them. So that's not saying you have to do that, but look at them and what they're trying to do. How can you help them to better sell their thing? By the way, just so you guys know, this is easy fucking pickings. Do you think an industrial company knows how to build a fucking website? Do you think they know how to do pay-per-click? Do you think they know how to send a fucking cold email? Do you think they know how to create a brochure? No, they're shit at all of it. They know how to write a proposal? So it's easy picking. It's you don't even have to be good at it. You just have to be the tallest midget. Right? Part of the reason I loved working with attorneys is, man, like, they're easy to help because they all say dumb shit. They all copy each other and go, I'm tough, I'm experienced, I'll fight hard. And I go, hey, do you got medical bills? Yeah, I do. Okay, well, we can help with your medical bills. Right? It's easy pickings. It's not even like... So I say that to you because, like, don't think about you and what you can do. Think about, how would I sell one of these units and bring the value to them? And chances are they're sitting on customer lists. They got leads they ain't followed up with. They have holes galore in their CRM. They have no automation. They have no follow-up. They can't fucking text. They can't email. They can't write a proposal. They can't summarize their pitch in under fucking 27 pages of gobbledygook. Right? Like, where could you not help them is my question. So this is my way for it to be more benefit, like, to everybody who's listening to this. What I mean by that is, stop thinking about you. Part of the reason you guys can't figure out your fucking deliverable, those of you guys who are in that stage, is because you're starting with the wrong person. So I would just look at what they're doing. How can I help them sell an expensive manufacturing piece of equipment or whatever one of those 4 things you want to sell? And then build a system that actually fucking does that. By the way, like I said, like, you can justify high fees if it works 1 time per year. Mathematically. Hey, I'm going to help you sell a $10 million piece of equipment. In doing so, our fee is $10K a month. Does that sound good to you? This is how people end up with Me Too offers. They start with the deliverable. They go, how can I sell a website? How can I sell SEO? How can I sell pay-per-click? Instead of, like, they're trying to sell this expensive fucking equipment. How can we help them sell expensive fucking equipment? And by the way, there's chances for you to innovate in there and create something that doesn't exist, that's only yours. People always tell me every market is too saturated. It is if you sell the same thing. But say I created a series of cold emails so you could go sell to the corporate CEO. And I'm the only one who had those fucking emails. Right? It's going to be hard not to sell that thing. Hey, I can get any corporate CEO you want in a series of 5 emails, get you a meeting to sell your expensive industrial equipment. You might have to send 10 messages a fucking year. So anyways, think about the other person, man. And what you'll find is, usually I look for a 6 to 10 to 1. So if you want to make, say, 10K a month, you're going to have to make other people between 60 and 100K a month. And the good news is a lot of your clients are doing this badly. Badly! And they're not that hard to help. Anyways, that was a long-winded rant, but I hope that's helpful to those of you guys who are, like, not sure what I should do next. Should I sell an SEO? Should I sell a pay-per-click? Should I do a go high-level SaaS? Should I have an AI chatbot? No, pick a person and go fucking help them. It's far easier than most people make it. Basil says, just sharing a thought and love to hear what you think. Clients that bitch and whine about leads being bad or basically not fitting their criteria, we can instead refocus them into even seeing those failed leads as an asset to monetize, or we could just monetize them directly and do that work. Example, lead is outside our service area, don't feel like driving 2 hours away to see them. Okay, sell it to another business in that area instead of tossing it in the trash. Example 2, that lead ended up not being interested in our $100 bill service. Okay, so get a referral commission by sending it to another business that would be a better fit by them, or arbitrage, and source what they need and deliver it to them on a monthly basis, and so on. Basically, you can flip almost every bad lead into a profit center if you just stop bitching, Mr. Client, and get creative. When the customer is not always right and wish you could tell them what's on your mind. I hear your frustration, dude, because that's actually a really good idea, and it sounds like you're just having struggle communicating it to them in a meaningful way. I think part of the challenge is actually it sounds like you're really hard trying to convince them that that's true, and you actually don't need them to believe that's true. You just need them to be willing to try. Hey, I know you had some leads that are out of your area. I got an idea that I think would help us be able to monetize them by selling them to other HVAC companies that do deal with them. And I'd be down to split the referral commission with you. What do you think? Right? That's it. So they don't need to believe that it'll work or not work. They just have to be willing to try. So I hope that helps you, because I think you can do that in a lot less convincing way. And what you're thinking about is something Dan Kennedy kind of like talked about extensively. Is most people think transactionally, and they're just trying to sell their one thing. Sell my one thing, and then I move on, and I sell my one thing to the next person, and I move on, then I sell my one thing. And the problem with that is it creates for a scenario in your organization that creates bad math, because it gets increasingly more expensive over time to like acquire those people. And so often people will spend $1,000 to get $1,000 customer. That's bad math. And the easiest way to deal with it is to be the person who offers the most amount of value long term. And so what you're describing is like essentially you bring value to the prospect by saying, hey, I know we don't deal with that, but we know somebody out of area that can. Do you want me to connect you on the phone with him? And you get a referral commission for doing that. So to me, an example of this, I would call that in a single word, just so you guys know, resourcefulness. The people who are most resourceful with what they have continually find themselves having more resources. So I had a conversation with Qasim Aslam, who built the largest pay-per-click Google ad agency on earth. I don't know anybody bigger. Maybe there's somebody bigger, but I don't know them. I believe they were the number one pay-per-click agency at the time of selling on earth. And one of the things he said, like, for a lot of our high-ticket stuff, 99% of leads didn't qualify. So like 1 out of 100 maybe. So when they actually made the Google ads work is when they figured out how to sell the 99 turndowns they had to someone else, so that they were able just to pay for ads to be able to go find that one person. And then they made that money when they found the one person. And so like you're describing, they're like, man, why don't we take the business we're not doing anything with and sell it to someone else who can do something with it? Real estate agents will often do this, where they'll like buy and sell leads. Hey, I don't work on the water, so I'm going to sell the waterfront lead to someone else. So to kind of circle back on this, like, yes, it's a good idea. And if you really want to try it for somebody and do it for real, don't try and like convince them that they're sitting on all this gold. Just offer to dig it up and say, I'd take a cut for it. Would you be open to a little test to see if I'm right? Like, they don't need to believe it. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to change their mind. You just need to be like, would you be down to try something? Like, to me, like, the conversation is like, you threw all those leads in the garbage over there, but I think there's actual money in those leads if we refer them to someone else. And I'm willing to go do it for you. And I just want to split the money with you. Would you be open to something like that? Like, it's not hard for them to say yes to that. This is why I say the longer I do this, by the way, the less I'm interested in retainer stuff, and why we do, like, you know, the partnership style stuff that we do now. Because, like, you can go make somebody like $200,000 send in their fucking dead leads somewhere else. You can very easily look somebody in the eye, straight face, be like, okay, my cut's 80 grand. And it's not even hard to do. It's easier than what most people are doing. But what you have to do is be willing to get, A, for them to be willing to try stuff, and for you, B, you to be willing to try stuff and sometimes be wrong. That's the thing about like partnership style deals, is sometimes you're going to be wrong. So I try and, like, when you're going to be wrong, like, get in there and get out as fast as you can. Like, I try and do something like to move the needle for them in the first hour. If I can't move the needle in an hour, then I'm probably not going to be able to do it long term. So anyway, next one, we got Jerome here. Jerome says, hey, Frankie, just joined after reading Beyond the Agency Box, and I was wondering, you mentioned that this type of agencies are more like, hey, we do stuff for you and then we get paid, more like Sago's way. Yeah, within the book, the screenshots you share all about people getting retainers, got a bit confused about this. Also, for a while, I was considering restaurants as being a great target because of their lack of following up and customer capture. In your book, I like examples you give. However, on a performance basis, which point would you use as a conversion to get paid by the restaurant? When people show up, when they book through the systems I create for them? Your book is excellent, and it's great to see the influence of Travis here and through your way of seeing things. Thanks, man. Yes, sir. I've definitely had some mentors over the years that have been immensely helpful. Travis is one of those. So let's talk about a couple of things in there, okay? Why do I show different stuff? It's because this is a thing that drives me crazy in our space. I'm like going to rant for a second here, but is when people figure out one way that works and then they treat it as if this is the only way. So I see this with a lot of the cold outreach guys where they go, I figured out how to send a message and book business in the door. And if you want to generate business, you have to be cold messaging people too. And it's the second part of it that like kind of drives me crazy. It's like, I have no doubt that worked for you, but there's more than one way to be successful. And so what I wanted to kind of show people is just options. I don't want to be the guy who's like, you have to do it this way, and if you deviate from the Frankie Fihn way, you're a fucking loser, and you'll never succeed, and you got to be a cold DMing 1,000 people a month, just like I do. And so, like, you know, for example, I just made a video where I showed people 6 different ways that I've seen. Like, I've been doing this 20 years, and you meet a lot of fucking, like, clients over those time, like thousands of them. Spoken on stage, shook hands with like lots and lots of motherfuckers. Like just when you walk off stage, like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes like 100 people come up to you and want to talk about like whatever you just talked about on stage. And then also, you get a chance to like see a lot of colleagues, like other people running agencies, how they do it. And so I've seen 6 ways that like essentially work to bring clients in the door and like all those different strategies. But you don't want to get caught up in like one way is the way. I'm just going to reread your question for a second. So to the point of the book is like I want to show people multiple ways of being successful in it. But personally, it's not speaking for anybody else. I do like partnership style stuff these days. And that's what kind of excites me personally. And I'm not saying everybody here has to do partnerships, but I just feel like we had a guy in the mastermind who did a partnership style deal in a matter of I want to say like 2-3 weeks, somewhere between like a 1 and 3 weeks. I don't remember the exact timeline, but he did like a $1.4 million partnership with one client. And it was using like some go high level shit they already had. So to me, it's like, how many fucking retainer clients and how many fucking meetings and reports and shit like that would you have to get to that level? Now, mind you, like the thing about it I keep mentioning is the partnership styles, they're not super beginner friendly because there's just a lot of traps in there. Like more than anything, you just have to know who makes a good client, who's like easy to help and why they would be easy to help. And if you haven't done stuff for people before, it's sometimes hard to tell who that is. But having said that, like I also love showing people like the retainer side of the business and getting clients. Like nothing makes me happier, like personally, when somebody sends me a message and they're like, "Holy shit, I just got my first ever retainer client." Like, "Oh my god, it fucking worked! I'm getting 1,000 a month!" Like, "Oh, it's fucking real!" And I'll tell you, actually, the only thing almost exciting is the first one. Is the second one. You're like, "Holy shit, it's real! It's real!" Like at one, you're like, "Okay." It worked, but maybe it's just there's just only one crazy person in the universe that would do this with me. And then when you get 2, it's like all of a sudden it's real. Like, oh my god, it's like it's trending, it's real, it's in a direction. So there's more than one way to be successful at this, is all I'm saying. I like to show you guys different options, and then you have the capacity to choose for you, which is why like I went into detail about those 6 things for getting clients. Why? Because every day somebody tells me I have to do cold outreach, and there's 5 other things they could be doing that work. And when I say work, I mean work to the $1 million level and above. All right. So that was Jerome. So this was Chris. Chris also says, also you just kind of mentioned in the last week's Zoom call that you'd put together this kind of like phoneless system to like make sales and stuff. Sorry, this was a voice message that got translated. I guess I'm kind of asking you from your perspective, right? Like I got to check my numbers, but I think I finally hit it. I think our MRR is now over 83,300. So technically our annual average revenue is now $1 million, which is pretty cool. But I might be like, okay, so this is kind of, the translation of this kind of came out gobbledygooky. So I'm just going to kind of summarize Chris's question. He wants to know, okay, so I got to $1 million a year with some partnerships. how do I take what I've got and now go to the next level using the resources and kind of things that I have. So this is my personal strategy, and this is what has always worked for us, is that I like to do the foundational work for getting the agency off the ground organically. And then when you have real life organic stuff that's like forged in face-to-face conversations and having to deliver real solutions and things like that, that what happens then is that when you all of a sudden strap paid ads to it, like, holy shit, is that an explosion of agency growth? So much so that actually I can say personally that we just at times just buckled under the fulfillment side of that. Like, it was like when your agency's growing like so fast you can't even fucking hire people fast enough to keep up. Like, like shit gets cray-cray. Let's just say that. And I've had that a few times. And so I wouldn't necessarily go that aggressively with ads. But what I like to do is take what's working. And so in your case, Chris, you have media. So you have podcasts you've done in your industry. You've been to events. You got documented case studies, things like that. To me is now I take all the best stuff we've accumulated organically, and that is the paid ads. And I'll tell you why I think most people are handicapped with paid ads. Because if you think of conversion, so if you look at this window, this video window I'm talking in, and I want you to imagine it as an American football field where every 10 yards it's sliced up. Most people are metaphorically way over here on the 5-yard line. Okay, oops, sorry, over here. There we go. Oh, it's mirrored for me, so I was confused for a sec. So I'm on the 5-yard line here, and getting clients and getting paid is going over here as a touchdown. And the question they're asking themselves almost always is, how do I get there in a Hail Mary in one play? So it sounds like, what's the ad that if I just say this one thing will get everybody to buy my shit in one play? And there are, by the way, ads that do work like that. But most often they come from just trying shit. And so a better thing is when you, for my experience, is when you have this, and I learned this from Dennis Yu, when you have 10, 15 media pieces, each one of those as a separate ad shown to the same person is kind of like driving the ball 5 yards and then 10 yards. Oh, hey, we just got a 25-yard big play. Now we got 3 yards. And it just keeps moving you forward. And so what I found is once you have 10 to 15 media pieces and you turn those into paid ads, which you have. So for example, in your case, Chris, you have podcasts with a top industry guy. You got, like I said, case studies. You got actual clients you can show off results. And you got examples of stuff you've written, and you can show examples of your campaigns. To me, you take all that best stuff and turn it into paid ads, not with the expectation that instantaneously this is going to go score Hail Marys, but over the next 30 to 60, 90 days, it's going to continuously move the ball forward. And then what I will see after 30, 60, 90 days is every day a new touchdown shows up. And you can close those touchdowns over video, by the way. So it's video is the thing that's constantly driving the ball up the field for you. And the point being is you literally already have that shit. It's not you have to go and get it. You just have to organize it at this point. You go, and so the question I ask, what's all the best stuff? If we're going to put all our best foot forward, what's 15, 20 things we can put forward? That's all our best stuff. And then you take it and you fucking put paid ads and you go and push it forward. And what happens is, even when people don't consume it, I've never read a fucking Sabri Subri fucking book. I don't watch his fucking videos, but I see that motherfucker's ads. And just by the sheer nature of how much advertising he does, I know he's a big player in whatever fucking space he's pushing. And so people forget that. It's even I haven't converted, not a lead, but there's still an awareness of who that person is and what they've done that is created through the continuous effort of advertising. And that's when it doesn't work. And when it does work, what happens is people just say, hey, I found you on the blah, blah, blah. I saw your podcast with blah, blah, blah. I watched your stage video. I saw your case study you guys did with ABC, blah, blah, blah. And it works well when you get out of the mentality of I'm trying to score the touchdown on one play. When most people go to paid ads, they're going, how do I get a touchdown in one play? What's the one ad that's going to score a touchdown every time? And you've built a system organically, and now it's just replicating that system organically. And what you'll find is, you'll still get like, because you have partners and the people coming to you are referral grade, which is like the highest of high. They won't quite be referral grade, but they'll be just like a little notch below it. They're like, hey, I saw your thing, I watched your stuff, read your book, read your case study, and watched your Loom video. Like, what do we do now? That's it. And so the magic of that is you're using technology and distribution to be the thing that's moving the ball forward. So that the ball is moving forward, whether you're actively pushing it or not, in the form of just ads, repetition, videos, people seeing your stuff. And so, like, to me, it almost sounds kind of dirty, but I like to take my best stuff and then use ads to almost force feed it to an audience. And by the way, I learned that when I got to hang out in some of the top rooms with attorneys. So I was a very, like, as many of you guys are, like a direct response person. Like, you gotta, if you run an ad, you need to fucking measure that ad, like $1 in, $2 out, or like that ad is not working. And that's how I used to measure success and progress. And when I got in the top rooms, a lot of these guys had a challenge that they could no longer track their stuff. And I'll tell you why. So a lot of attorneys do TV. And in order to, like, you only have 30 seconds to get a message across in TV. And so a lot of guys found that the harder for the person to remember your phone number is, the less likely somebody is to call, right? And in 30 seconds, if I say to you, hey, it's Frankie Fihn, call 258-7514. Like, what? Sorry, what was that number again? And I compare that to, say, George Sink in South Carolina, a real lawyer who, by the way, those of you guys in South Carolina can confirm what I'm saying. His phone number is 999-9999. Want to call George? Keep pushing 9. When George picks up, you got the right number. And so what happens is, because TV was their biggest spender, then they would create billboards and they would create online stuff. And it would all have this, like in George's case, 999. Problem is, how do you track that? No longer can you track any of that. Because now you got an easy to remember phone number and you make it easy for people to call you. And you do get a lot of phone calls and you get a lot of business. But the flip side of that is, do you know whether it's coming from a billboard? Do you know whether it's coming from a Facebook ad? You don't. And I sat in these meetings, and this is a big problem in the high levels where they're like, they can't attribute every sale to one thing. And so they always want to, like, a temptation to stop doing it. And I always ask the question, like, does the whole machine work? And they said, yeah. Oh, they said, oh, yeah, we're easily getting like 10x on our money. We spend $1 million a year and we get, 10 million, or we spend 10 million and get 100 million. And my question always was, well, then who fucking cares? Right? Who cares whether it's coming from the billboard or the Facebook ads or whatever? Yeah, but we don't know what to do more of. Like, do more of all of it equally, right? Like, don't make it confusing. So I say that to you guys just because I think when people approach paid ads, they're like very hooked into this direct response idea that, like, I need to go one ad measurably to the sale in one single fucking leap and bound, or it's not working. And I'm like, is the whole machine predictably moving the ball up the field over and over and over again? And is that number, like, for the total process to work within spec? And usually if you look at it as a 30, 60, 90-day window, the answer is, like, overwhelmingly yes. And I attribute that to Dennis Yu, because Dennis Yu made it, like, super easy for you guys to implement, by the way. He has a thing called $1 per day, which is create helpful content for your people, then stick your credit card in either Meta ads or Twitter or wherever you are, LinkedIn, wherever you're active, and give them $1, $1 a day, just to boost your content to the people you want to see it. And when it catches, spend more money, and when it doesn't, turn it off. So worst case scenario, you lose $7. And by the way, there's a repeated effect of repetition to a market when they see your dollar ads over and over and over, is they will start coming to you inbound without you guys always chasing it, which to me, like, I just wonder why people are so hell-bent on, like, chasing. Like, it's the difference between, you can hunt. Yes, you can. You can go out there and, like, I got a fucking deer. Like, let's go old school with the bow and arrow. And you got to, like, do a barrel roll and you snipe them, okay? You can eat like that, but you got to wake up every day and go hunt another new animal. Or you can just, like, put the bear trap in the forest, stick a piece of meat on it, and come back, and they'll be like, we caught something today. And to me, the beautiful thing about it is when you figure out how to lay traps, as, like, we're kind of metaphorically discussing, you can put like 100 traps out. Right? There's no rule that says, like, one's got to do all the catching. So I'm ranting a little bit, Chris, but I just think amplifying what you built will if you want to get to, the 2 to 3K a year, I think, like, just taking what you got and gently force feeding. I would suggest, actually, from my own personal experience, be careful how much money you spend on that, because if you do too much too fast, it will work so big and so fast that you will, like, The quality of your whole thing will slip like substantially as you get in this. Holy shit! I need to hire people real fast. I need 10 account managers fucking yesterday, right? Like, when you get to that stage, so I don't recommend like going gasoline. Have a more long term sustainable growth kind of plan. Is just my 2 cents. If I was doing that now, but anyways, like above all, congrats, my dude. $1 million a year. That's a big feat. A lot of people don't get there. Most don't get there. And you did. So I'm super proud of you and appreciate you. And all you guys listen. By the way, the comments stopped refreshing. So probably going to come back to you. You guys said a bunch of cool, hilarious shit that I can't see. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys in this one. For those of you guys who missed the intro, I mentioned this before, but we've been building on kind of like the wolf pack. For those of you guys who are interested in kind of taking your agency to the next level, is I just think this agency game is so hard, and what makes it easier is when you have a community of people, friends and mentors, people to bounce ideas off, swipe files, templates, tools, help, resources. Somebody's already figured out the software and tools for you. Somebody's already figured out the who you should hire or not hire. And just having access to all of those materials, just like, to me, dramatically accelerates this. And I mentioned this in the beginning, like, we don't take people who would not be successful and turn them into winners, but we take people who would win at this game, but instead of having it to be a 12-year thing, it can be a 12-week thing. And so for those of you guys who are interested in that, I'm going to be doing some updates on that for 2025, updating and facelifting our offer. I'm going to have some different tiers for those of you guys who are interested. This is the first year I've decided to actually actively build a community for those of you guys who are just starting. So I'm going to put some details on that in the coming few weeks. I can't say exactly when because we got our live event coming up. I'm going to be busy with that, and then at some point after, I'll get to work on that. But for those of you guys who are just trying to get to 0 to 1, the sub 5K, the sub 10K kind of folks, and you want to get there consistently, we're going to build some awesome help and resources for those of you guys getting there. And then, as I mentioned, the Wolfpack for those of you guys who are looking to scale the next level, that's our bread and butter. So if you guys can check that out, beyondagencyprofits.com/Wolfpack. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Happy Monday. Appreciate you guys. Much love. May the force be with you. Old man yelling at cloud, over and out. Hey guys, if you like this video, you may also like my best-selling book here, Beyond the Agency Box. It is all about scaling a digital marketing agency while eliminating meetings and phone calls. We actually sell our stuff phoneless. We don't have any client meetings, and we also hire our team entirely without meeting phone calls, which allows us to actually kind of live a life. I've laid out the entire blueprint and everything you need to know, getting clients, onboarding, setting expectations, scaling, building a team, you name it. It has been a bestseller on Amazon now for over 5 straight years, but now you can get it even cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. So I can't tell you the exact price because it may change when this video is released, but there should be a link to it below, either in the description of the video or as well as a pinned comment. So if you're interested in that, check out that video and you can get a copy for super cheap.